Pulling the trigger for the first time in years, Grover retreats back up to his roof to assess the damage as he watches the infected begin to flock towards his building. Focusing now on clearing the undead growling beneath his feet, he argues the usefulness of his shotgun as he diligently cleaves through its side effects.
Results of my little science experiment. Fired 2 blasts, knocked a couple of them over, and learned that my eyesight ain't what it used to be. Also, fucking hell, I haven't done this much exercise since the old lady had her midlife crisis. Anyway, definitely sucked my pecker in the hornet's nest. Got chompers all over the streets again. Worth using guns? Probably not. Did it make me feel alive for a few seconds? Hell yeah. Gills.
Wanting to test his theory one more time while he was fresh, Grover collects a horde in front of his building before unloading on them with grizzled determination. Finding himself endlessly surrounded and pressured by the frenzied sprinters, Grover's nerves finally get to him as his blood-soaked gloves accidentally snag on the trigger and cause the tired man to truly fear for his life. Retreating to the other corner of his block that he had thankfully already cleared, Grover begins to work his way back towards his home as he watches the stragglers from his commotion continuing to close in. Exhausted, and fully appreciating the sheer numbers of undead skulking about the city, Grover builds himself up for the final push to regain his building. Finally getting a clear view of just how many he had attracted as he grows closer to his apartment, Grover knows that getting inside is only half the battle, as all the progress he had made clearing the streets had been reset. Peering at the patient dead lingering outside his shattered windows, Grover carefully steps down the blood-stained hallway before positioning himself for a safe retreat. While his body wanted nothing more than to lie down and rest, Grover knew that if he left these husks lingering overnight, he might just wake up with one of them bashing down his door. Regaining control of his intersection as the afternoon sets in, the tired but sturdy survivor begins to hunt through the nearby vehicles in hopes of finding one that functioned. Managing to find the key for a station wagon parked nearby, his hopes are snuffed out as he examines the car, realizing that the gas tank had been rusted out and made the vehicle near useless in its current state. Finally submitting to the demands of his body as every joint ached, Grover tucks himself back into the comfort of his building and drags himself up each floor as he continues to work through his dwindling options. While he wasn't starving at the moment, and nothing had killed him yet, the wise warrior knew that his situation wasn't sustainable. Being trapped deep within the city was surely a death sentence, whether it be the relentless march of time and diminishing supplies, or the tireless waves of undead that could overwhelm him at any moment. Grover knew that ultimately he had to find a safer place to call home, but there was no way he could set off into the city on foot and expect to last a night without a safe place to fall back to.
I ain't a rocket scientist, but I'm smarter than these sacks of shit. Shotgun? Bad idea. May as well call it a dinner bell and go ahead and stuff my ass in the oven. Jumping over fences? Bad idea. My old ass knees are still moaning about it. Guess I'm stuck dicing these chompers to pieces. Gonna try and make my way over to the bridge. Maybe there's less of them over there. Gills.
Accepting the consequences of what he had done yesterday, Grover gazes over the infested streets of his city once more before turning his eyes towards the nearby bridge and hoping it was a symbol of salvation. Slowly making his way down the street, Grover spots undead military, which only confirms his assumption that the various blockades around the city had been overrun. Putting them out of their misery and grabbing what useful equipment they had on their persons, Grover starts the process of gaining a few feet at a time as he continually checks the various vehicles cluttering the street. Only finding useless cars and trucks as he finally makes it to the blockade, Grover simply shrugs at his misfortune, as the bridge was impassable anyway. Stopping to take a break and finally replace the tacky helmet he had despised since putting on, Grover cherishes the reliable therapy of a cigarette before readying himself for more bloodshed. happening upon another key, but only able to sigh in frustration as the truck is in even worse shape, Grover groans with agitation and trudges onwards. Disappointingly finding his neighboring apartment building devoid of vehicles as well, Grover takes to the streets one final time to vent his growing annoyance on the undead bastards that had him firmly trapped with their numbers. Hearing a distant gunshot as he returned to the safety of his apartment, Grover skulks to the nearby window to witness the masses beginning their tireless trudge. Realizing he was witnessing the other side of the event he had just survived, Grover is forced to acknowledge the stupidity of using firearms before he was truly ready. Keeping to his kitchen as he can still hear the muffled footsteps of undead marching past, Grover tends to his needs and then entertains himself by sawing off his shotgun, amusing himself with the image of the ATF kicking down his door.
Well, the bridge is blocked. Guess I shouldn't be surprised. At least there wasn't some eager government boy there to put one between my eyes. Looks like everyone got shafted. Well, not everyone. Heard some other idiot firing off a rifle this afternoon. Watched as a parade of chompers started heading in their direction. Hope their knees are better than my own. Starting to run dangerously low on smokes, and I ain't dying without my goddamn nicotine. Gills.
Having to be partially thankful for the other survivor's stupidity as Grover looks over the cleared streets, the aged survivor prepares himself in his kitchen once more before setting out to complete his to-do list. Still mostly focused on getting some sort of vehicle, Grover points himself in a new direction and checks the other neighboring building in hopes of stumbling across keys and a decent ride. Happening across an auto parts store that he would surely return to, Grover also discovers a pair of keys to what looked like the car parked just outside. Determined to see if this clunker was finally his ticket out of here, he creeps back through the quiet office building before planting his feet onto the asphalt once more and preparing for another slaughter. Facing the disappointment of yet another pointless battle to another useless car, Grover begins to feel his thinly veiled fury starting to surface, as the endless frustrations of this world were beginning to bring out a darker side of him he had long left behind. Resigning to mindlessly wandering back over the streets he had cleared, and cracking open the skulls of the walking bags of shit that stood in his way, Grover festers on his anger as only more broken vehicles line his path. Eventually finding himself in front of the gun store just down the street, Grover eyes the upstairs windows with a bit of curiosity, before an idea begins to form in his troubled mind. Finding a new goal to throw himself at, and latching onto it to drag himself out of his loathing, Grover enjoys another cigarette before grabbing his hammer and getting to work.
Found more smokes. Probably the best thing that's happened since I decided to step outside my door. Still shit out of luck with finding a car that isn't beat to hell and back, but the streets are so clogged with those frickin' chompers that it might not be worth it anyway. It's strange how quiet it is, especially after all that happened. I'm slowly working towards the hospital to the west, and God only knows what waits for me there. Gills.
Waking up to a view of his city cast in a downpour, Grover pulls his sluggish body from his bed and brings the full force of his will down upon his new objective. Feeling prepared for what he must do as the stormy night continues to rage around him, Grover finally reclaims his apartment as a home and settles into the welcome comfort with thoughts of tomorrow dominating his mind.